Benny was a quiet little donkey with soft brown eyes. For many years, he lived a peaceful life with an old farmer named Harper. Harper treated Benny with incredible love, always making sure he was well fed and speaking to him like a cherished friend. Benny's days were filled with gentle pats and the sweet taste of fresh apples. But life took a sharp, painful turn the day Mr. Harper passed away. Benny was handed over to Mr. Harper's son, Victor. And it was clear from the start that Victor was nothing like his kind father. From the very first day, Victor's voice was a harsh whip. "Move, donkey, faster," he would shout. "You useless animal." Benny's life transformed into a nightmare of endless, thankless labor. He was forced to work without rest, his small frame straining under the weight of heavy firewood. He pulled massive water barrels up steep hills until his muscles screamed in protest. He walked for miles along dusty, rocky paths, often with no food to fuel his tired body. With each passing day, Benny grew thinner and weaker. His once glossy coat became dull and matted, and his soft brown eyes lost their spark. The villagers who had known Mr. Harper saw the change and shook their heads in sadness. "Victor," they would plead, "be kind to that poor donkey. Your father loved him." But Victor would only laugh, a cold, cruel sound that offered no comfort. Every night, Benny would collapse under a dry, barren tree, his stomach aching with hunger and his body trembling with exhaustion. He'd look up at the vast, star-filled sky and whisper the same small prayer, a desperate plea from a broken heart. "I just want one gentle hand again, just one." Far away, in another village, lived a kind farmer named Marcus. He was a man who knew his own deep sorrow, having lost his family years ago in a tragic accident. In the lonely years that followed, he sold almost everything he owned, unable to bear the memories. Only one loyal friend remained by his side, his dog, Scout. Marcus worked in his garden from sunrise to sunset, the physical labor a small distraction from the pain that lived inside him. He spoke very little and smiled even less. Grief was a constant companion, but he fought to keep a sliver of faith alive. Every night before sleeping, he would whisper into the quiet darkness, "Lord, just give me the strength to continue." And every night, Scout would lie faithfully beside him, a silent, furry guardian offering unconditional love. One scorching hot day, as Marcus was mending a wooden fence, a sudden, sharp pain shot up his leg. "Ah, a snake! It bit me!" he cried out, his voice filled with panic. The venom began its work quickly. He stumbled toward his house, desperate to get help, but his foot came down hard on a rusty nail hidden in the grass. "Not now," he groaned, the new wave of agony overwhelming him. I can't make it." Marcus collapsed onto the ground, his strength fading fast. Scout, seeing his master fall, began to bark frantically. He knew he had to get help. He ran like the wind, across fields and down dusty roads, tugging at the clothes of anyone he passed, barking with an urgency that should have been impossible to ignore. But people, busy with their own lives, brushed him aside. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Scout found Benny. The little donkey was listlessly chewing on some dry, tough grass by the side of the road. His ribs were visible beneath his skin, and his legs shook with weakness. Scout didn't hesitate. He barked loudly, running back and forth, nudging Benny, urging him to follow. His barks weren't just noise, they were a story urgent. A man needs help. Now, something in Scout's desperate plea reached through Benny's own pain. He understood, despite his weakness, a flicker of the spirit Mr. Harper had nurtured ignited within him. He followed Scout. They found Marcus lying still, his face pale and his breathing shallow. He was barely moving. Scout barked, a sound of both fear and hope. Then he, guided by an instinct he didn't know he had, knelt beside the fallen man. At the gentle touch, Marcus's eyes fluttered open. He saw the blurry shapes of a dog and a donkey. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice a faint rasp. "Whoever you are." Scout nudged Marcus gently, then looked at Benny. The little donkey lowered himself further to the ground, a clear invitation for Marcus to climb onto his back. "Hold on," Marcus whispered, summoning a final ounce of strength. "I'm coming." Getting Marcus onto his back was a struggle. Benny's legs trembled violently under the weight. He felt he might collapse at any moment, but he didn't. Scout stayed right at his side, whining encouragement, a constant, supportive presence. Step by painful step, the unlikely trio began their slow journey toward the town. Villagers stopped and stared in disbelief. "Look, it's Victor's donkey. He's carrying a man." Someone, realizing the gravity of the situation, ran ahead to get help. By the time they reached the village, a doctor was waiting. Marcus was rushed to the small clinic, Benny and Scout waited outside, to silent sentinels under the moonlit sky. They stayed there all night. Benny was more tired than he had ever been in his life, but he didn't leave. A strange, unfamiliar feeling was blooming in his chest. It was hope. The next morning, the doctor announced that Marcus was safe and would recover. When Marcus was finally able to sit up, he looked out the window and saw Benny and Scout, still waiting patiently. Tears welled up in his eyes. "You saved my life," he whispered when they were brought to him. "I don't even know your story." He asked the villagers who this brave little donkey belonged to, and they told him everything. They told him about Victor's cruelty, the beatings, the starvation, the utter loneliness Benny endured. Marcus looked at the donkey, his heart aching with a mix of deep sadness and profound love. "No," he said, his voice firm with conviction. "You will not go back to that man. Never again." Marcus found Victor and bought Benny from him. From that day on, Benny's life changed once more, this time for the better. Marcus fed him sweet, fresh carrots and soft hay. He spoke to him in a low, gentle voice, and his hands were always kind. Benny finally felt safe. He finally had a gentle hand again. Slowly, together, the three of them began to heal. The lonely man, the loyal dog, and the gentle donkey became a new family, bound not by blood, but by a shared experience of survival and compassion. Their quiet home was filled with a new warmth, a testament to the fact that kindness can be a powerful medicine. Their story reminds us that no matter how small or weak you feel, your courage and your kindness can make a world of difference. Helping others and staying loyal, even when you are hurting yourself, is a strength that will always be seen and rewarded. Even in the darkest moments of pain and suffering, hope and goodness have the power to change lives, including your own. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires. We'll see you in the next video.